Good evening. Hours ago, news broke that some elected officials in Benue State formally defected to the opposition People's Democratic Party, the PDP. Now, it marked the latest in the gale of defections of politicians from one party to another. News of the decamping of 14 senators and 36 members of the House of Representatives from the governing APC to the PDP still reverberates, while the presidency and indeed the APC have described the development as seasonal and in keeping with the character that precedes electioneering period in Nigeria. Other critics have also been evaluating the legal implications for the party members and indeed for the 2019 general elections. On Nigeria Today, we dig deeper into this development in the context of the dynamics of defections in a democracy. I am Claire Adelabu Abdurrazak. All right, to give insights into questions begging for answers following this development, I have joined me here in the studio the National Secretary Coalition of APC Support Group, Peter Okorafor. I also have with me Esther Uzoma. She's a known face on NTA. She's a human rights activist and public affairs analyst. Both of you, I'd like to welcome you so much to Nigeria Today. Let's begin because NTA is a platform for everybody, so there might be people who probably would not understand when we talk about defections. Esther, let me quickly start with you. Just break down, what do we mean when we talk about political defections?
All right. When we talk about political defections, we are talking about the situation that arises when political personnel elected on the platform of a political party midstream in their tenure decides to change to a different political party. So if they are in party A, that was a platform on which they obtained the ticket and indeed won election, then midstream they have decided that, oh, I don't want to stay in party A again, I'm moving over to party B. So that technically, that is what it is. It also represents a shift of political allegiance, a shift in a shift in ideological, drive. So these are I'm hoping that this glare of political defections will represent a fundamental ideological shift.
Okay, thank you, Esther. You've just hit a very critical issue, ideological shift. Peter, when people hear defections, it's as if, oh, it has a negative, connotation. But if it involves ideological shift, for you, what does that mean?
Well, I must try to draw a difference based on reasons why people do differ from one political party or institution to another. Because her concept limits her explanation to a situation where it's an ideal case on ideological difference.
Okay, so that's an ideal case.
But ideological difference. But in the black race, particularly in Nigerian politics, political defection right from history has never been on ideological basis. 70% of the time, it has always been based on people's perceived political ambition, which they want to continually perpetuate. If political defection is an ideological issue, I think it's maturity. This is the way I should go. I don't want to go that way because of this reason. But when it is reduced to base sentiments that look selfish and greedy, self-centered, then it becomes an immoral issue. There is moral burden.
Let me ask both of you, because democracy comes, of course, with a lot of principles, competition, it comes with freedom and all that. Is there any way we see a nexus between defection, political defection, and democracy?
Democracy comes with a lot of guaranteed liberties. And our particular constitutional democracy is not left out. The constitutional guarantee of freedom of association is one of those liberties and promises of democracy. So you now find that when people decide that I was going to part A and I want to go over to part B, it's an exercise. It's part of the liberties. It's part of the promise. In fact, we even call it a democratic dividend. Dividend, very well. So it is strictly situated in the, liberties, privileges, rights, purposes of democratic government.
So in other words, Peter, it could be intrinsic to a political system.
Yes, defection is intrinsic to political system, but I always stressed the essence of defection.
Yes.
That should be the bone of contention. Why defect? Why defect? We are defecting from where to where? I mean, it's funny when somebody is a part of a ruling government and decides to jump off the boat into the sea. Because if you're not in the government, you're in the sea. And that is the issue that has brought us where we are here today. So you don't, on the basis of you have the right to defect when it is not necessary to defect. It's not acceptable.
Let's now go back again to the issue of ideology. Esther, you brought up that earlier on. And do you see the current gale of defections that we've just experienced, as having an ideological, push?
Well, it will appear ordinarily to to the ordinary Nigerian citizen that this gale of defections is perhaps, we can frame it as an existential, myth, a fight for survival. However, if you now listen to some of the reasons, they are complaining about oppressive, because we're talking about a party in power. We're talking about a party in majority. So why are you leaving? And they are complaining about extreme use of state force to prosecute perceived enemies. Perhaps that is their ideology. But to the regular Nigerian, the question will be, I have been to the hospital and there's no medicine. Why did you not defect? Who will raise a riot? Who will fly the flag? When, for instance, 7 policemen were killed in a day, this country did not stand still. Our political leaders did not galvanize us to stand still. When 7 in one fell swoop, we no longer cry for our dead. We no longer weep.
So you believe, in your view, this is not ideologically motivated at all. Peter, what do you think could be responsible for the sudden defection?
Interestingly, political defections has been historical as far back as First Republic. You saw it in the parliament way back at Ibadan. For the sake of time, we don't go into history. And it's been on through history, through our political or democratic journey. So now, for the present scenario we're witnessing in the country right now, in my view, which is not likely questionable, is the fact that most of the people defecting, if you look very well at them, they are defected defectors. They defected and they are defecting again. So if you want to ask me, the real APC personnel are in situ, they're intact. You have what I could describe as political prostitute or political prostitution. They are never stable. It's all about themselves. It's all about their welfare. It's all about their family. And if they are aware they cannot guarantee the continuity of their existence, of their selfishness, they want to exit. How do you explain? In less than 2 republics, personnel have changed from one political party institution to the other, and it's been constant, identifiable to these persons. How do you explain it? If you want to defect in a political party, the only thing that justifies your moral burden is on ideological difference, and not on base sentiments. It's not allowed. I want to draw you back. A few days back, the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, His Excellency Adams Oshobole, made a prescription that the APC is likely to adopt what they call direct primaries for their oncoming primaries election into various political offices. And what that means is that it has reduced you who wants to contest an election to what looks like an option A4, where your people have the right to look at your credentials vis-a-vis your performance at the National Assembly. That's what direct primary stands for. And these persons, most of these persons that are defecting, de facto comes from APC governors control states. And coming from APC governors control states, the party position is that they must go for direct primaries. If you are certain of your onions that you deliver democratic dividends to your people, why are you afraid to go to primaries?
Let me again bring you back. You said earlier on that defections, of course, we've had defections, right from 1951. We know that some members of the NCNC had to defect to the action group and vice versa. But basically, it was because for ideological issues. So are you both saying that the current defection is not ideologically based, could be a selfish move?
You see.
That's what I'm saying.
Esther.
Yes. You see. If you listen to their narratives, they are complaining about a lot of things. For instance,
not ideologically based.
Well, you can say that is ideological. Non-obedience to court orders is an ideological drive. If I say A does not obey court orders, on the basis of that, I say, well, I don't believe in a person who does not obey court orders. Over using security agencies, to prosecute perceived enemies. When we watched the drama that unfolded,
but if you look at the girl, it appears to be a calculated move.
Well, vice versa.
Yes.
Vice versa. You see what they said. Like you said, these are persons who have, defectors, he called them. The gorilla and the monkey may claim oneness. But believe me, the monkey is the monkey and the gorilla is the gorilla. Because the mangrove tree has stayed in the river for a long time, that does not make it a crocodile. So, originally, these people were driven by something. And that thing that drove them is still driving them.
But these are the same people, Peter. It seems we are seeing a repeat of what happened previously, of course, in the system that brought in this administration.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you see, what I must let us understand is the simple fact that, you see, when you say, like she was mentioning, that they have grievances they outlined, including disrespect to rule of law and all that. If you cast your mind back, if that is a valid point, we had what we call valid impunity from the past dispensation. In fact, in the internal democracy of their party, the PDP, there was no room for democracy. There was no room for equity. There was no room for free and fairness. It was that same impunity, high-handedness, disregard and disrespect to rule of law that chased them away and brought them this oversight. Are they also telling us that that is the same experience they garnered here when you all witnessed our convention? How free and fair it was. We went through a proper democratic process in the convention. And we're also introducing a proper democratic process for the primaries. These guys are never comfortable where things are done in order.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to look at some of the implications. Esther, would you consider defection as a major knock on democracy?
No, it's an awakening of our democracy. I say this is our epiphany. Let it be known to all men. When people, perceived power brokers, can, like he said, they are in the majority. Why leave the majority and go where he terms as the sea? So let it be known to let it be known that our democracy is saying, listen. In fact, I see her dancing on the streets. Anything can happen. Nobody holds the aces. Power is returning to the people. The Nigerian citizen will no longer be the pawn. So if somebody who has attained such great heights in a political party, you can say everything is going for him. Suddenly he says, listen, I'm leaving this place. I'm going to take my chances. That is a celebration of democracy.
Okay, let me get your view quickly before we take a short break.
Sincerely,
is it a problem for democracy?
It's not a problem because, sincerely speaking, two people cannot work together except they agree. And you have an infusion of what looks like a virus to an existing progressive system. It cannot work. First of all, you must understand the historical foundation of APC. It's a marriage of political fusion of different bedfellows. And they yet to understand themselves. So in my own understanding, these people in that fusion have discovered that they don't fit in. What is their crisis? Somebody is accused of offense before the law. You use political maneuvering to escape your answering questions to the law. And you say you're witch hunted. The other person does not see a future because he does not control a political party mechanism. He now brandishes that party as a failure. I say it's blackmail. They're trying to blackmail this government and APC with an illusion they're trying to sell to the public.
All right, Peter Okorafor and Esther Uzoma, thank you for your comments and contributions so far. We'll take a short break. You're watching Nigeria Today, and we're digging deep into the gale of defections that happened just recently. Stay with us.
It shows that the politicians don't have the interests of the people. They are just going after their own interests. Because defecting from one party to another has not solved anything. It's not going to solve anything.
As far as I'm concerned, for the defection or no defection, number one, because the people in the PDP, they are still the one in APC. The one in APC, they are still the one in PDP. So what I'm saying is that everyone is fighting for his own pocket. They are not fighting for masses.
Provision of Section 40 of the 1999 Constitution as amended allows Nigerians to freely associate. So I can decide to leave PDP today and go to APC. I can, and vice versa. The Constitution allows that. So we shouldn't look at the act, but what premised the act. There is no smoke without fire. Defectors definitely have grievances.
You have the right to defect to whichever party you feel like. But the thing that worries me is that there seem to be no straight, clean-cut policies. You know, there must be ideologies to follow. APC should have an ideology, PDP should have an ideology, spelled out clean. We see people defecting right, left, and center, and it's the same crop of people with the same motives and agenda.
Politics, like I said earlier, is a matter of interest. One man can come today and tomorrow can go to another party. What we need in Nigeria is good governance and justice.
It is a high time we Nigerians or politicians should work based on society interest, not on selfish interest. It is a high time we should build a national ideology to develop our political system in the country.
All right, welcome back. You're watching Nigeria Today, and Peter Okorafor is the National Secretary Coalition of APC Support Group. I also have with me Esther Uzoma, a human rights activist and public affairs analyst. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, you listen to the views of course, Nigerians, some Nigerians there. Now, some, of course, they believe that, you know, when lawmakers, of course, elected based on, you know, they are representing the people from their constituencies, and when defections are made, it ought to be, of course, you know, based on the interests of the people. So a lot of people believe defections could be selfish and mischievously motivated. Esther?
Well, apparently the disconnect, you know, between the political class and the Nigerian citizen is humongous, and it is by virtue of this disconnect that perceived actions by the political class is viewed as one done in interest of self. For instance, I was just saying, look at the girl, look at the level of insecurity, look at the heightened level, unprecedented level of insecurity we have today. Nobody has shut down the system. Our political leaders have not mobilized us to take the states, and then demand for attention. Why? Oh, it's not our business. like I said, we no longer cry. There is death in Plateau. There's death in Benue. There is death in Katsina. There is death in Taraba. No more tears. 7 policemen died in one day. No more tears. Our soldiers are killed in. No more tears. There's a level of where, you know, that's another person will still die. So because nobody is shutting down the system, there's no call to national cry or prayer on account of the Nigerian citizen. When actions like this happen and everybody, so they're doing it for themselves, not for us.
Peter,
sincerely speaking,
you listened to some of those.
Yes, I heard them, and I tried to just oppose their views of what she's just saying vis-a-vis the question you raised. Sincerely speaking, we hear defectors. Have anybody asked himself, are the electorates defecting? Who are the people defecting? Have they, if they are representing any people, have they sought the mandate of the people that they are representing to defect? Would they just wake up and defect to another party and then go back to explain to them? The electorate have not defected. Where am I driving at? A good number of these persons, particularly from the Northern Enclave, got their mandate vis-a-vis the prolific profile of President Muhammad Buhari to go through that election victoriously. A good number of them. In fact, they left in droves in the sinking party of the day to tag along APC and President Buhari to be able to be elected by their people. Has the electorate defected? What is the percentage of the defectees? A few number of persons sent by their people, and they want to make an issue out of it that they've defected. If they defect, has their people defected? The mandate holders that gave them the mandate to be there? What are they going to tell them?
So what should the people be doing at the moment?
They are watching them.
Yes, what should they do? What step can the electorate do?
The APC have returned their rights to them through direct primaries election coming in the next few weeks. You go and choose who you want to come back here at the National Assembly. President Muhammad Buhari and APC under Adams Oshomole has returned democracy to the people. It's a government of the people, by the people, for the people.
Esther,
and that's what we are enshrining.
What should be the step of the people now, the electorate?
Bearing all sudden deaths, bearing all, sudden tears, let the electorate decide where they want to go. The PVC, if you don't have your PVC, go get your PVC and exercise that mandate.
Okay, let's also look at the other implications, emanating from defections. A lot of people have also been evaluating it. There is a law that stipulates, of course, what happens, when you decamp from one party, which brought you into, power, to another. Have we really been taking that seriously, Esther?
Well, the prophecies of the court regarding that is very clear. The court said that unless there is problem, apparently, at the national level of the party, which body it identified as the National Working Committee, that defections will result in announcing the seat of the defector vacant. Sorry. So,
I will have to, yes, just quickly run.
So one can argue that with the tear in the ruling party, perhaps this is what provoked this, this massive defection.
Peter, quickly, what should happen to the seats of those who have defected?
Well, it's an issue of law, and it's subject to the decision of the trial judge. But if I may pass an opinion as a non-legal expert, I think there was no crisis.
All right. Peter
Okorafor
is the National Secretary Coalition of APC Support Group. And I've also been joined by Esther Uzoma, a human rights activist and public affairs analyst. I'd like to appreciate both of you for coming to Nigeria today.
Thank you very much, Claire.
That has been our program for today, Nigeria Today. We'd like to thank you on behalf of the production crew. You can also be a part of this midweek edition of Nigeria Today The program is broadcast every weekday at 7:30. You can watch online at www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. I am Claire Adela Bouabdurozak. Bye-bye.